G'day guys and gals, today we're going to be painting this little abstract apple scene that I found while I was snooping around Pinterest, and I'll just show you a little snippet of what to expect. This is the finished painting, so if that sounds like something you're interested in, it's kind of artsy, it's kind of mysterious. Is it on the floor, is it on a bench? Not sure, but either way it looks pretty cool. So if this sounds like your cup of tea, why not grab yourself some paints and let's dive straight in. All right, pardon the background, but it's all about the phthalos for me. I think there's a bit of phthalo blue, some permanent green, we've got some olive green, phthalo green, and permanent sap green. Now, let's get started. A little bit of white, obviously. I'm going to go some antique white. Also going to put a bit of yellow ochre in there as well. So, yeah, let's get this little painting underway. Ta-da! And this is our little subject, just so I can show you that you can actually paint anything. So let's see if I can put my money where my mouth is, or my experience where my mouth is, and let's see if I can paint it. Hopefully I can. But anyway, I'm going to show you how to do it, especially if you're a beginner or somebody that's just getting back into your art, shelved it for years and years and years, and you want to get back into it. So let's reignite that passion, hey? All right, got a bit of Mars Black here, so go for a bit of Mars Black. Might have to top up on that, some of that soon. Get a bit of Mars Black. What I'm going to do is just paint around that little drawing. I'm not sure if you can see it there. Very, very rough. And as you've seen, I just used a little bit of masking tape as my border. Get my idea, sit that in there. So that will do. Try to keep it simple. Now, that kind of just goes in there. So I've got a little bit left over. So I'm just going to get that off. Get that little bit of a clean down. All right, get rid of that. It's always handy to get yourself some tissues or a little bit of paper towel. Always have that handy. Now, like I said, I reckon I can see some phthalo green. I can see some phthalo blue. So let's see how we go. Some nice phthalos happening here. And I'll go with that phthalo. Oh, you know what? Before I do, I'm going to go a little bit of that olive green now. Very expensive, so... Oh, haven't even opened that one. Look at that. She's a flashy. Brand spanker. Come on, off you come. Can't find it when I need it. So I'm going to have to dip into the new one there. Look at that beautiful olive green. Oh, now that is what I like to call sensational. All right, now we've got the old phthalo blue. Get a bit of that into the mix. Put a little bit of that over there. Get this going. Now I have taped that down. It's on 180 GSM sketch pad paper. And taped it down because it will crinkle. And before, my daughter was doing a bit of painting and I thought it was yellow. But it actually says yellow ochre. So, she didn't mind that colour. Okay, I've got a couple of these lovely 20mm brushes. 20 and a little bit bigger, probably 20. Probably more like a 20 and a 15. Right, let's get this show on the road. So, I'm going to go, like I said, a little bit of that Mars Black. Get that in there. Just give myself some water, which is just off screen there. Get that in there. A little bit of water. Grab a bit of that. La-da-da-dee, la-da-dee-da. Right. Now, this is where my wife usually starts slamming and smashing things around. Just normal stuff. It's just, you know, way she likes to do things. That's how we roll here. Now, right. Like that. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Right, now let's grab ourselves, I reckon, no, not that one. So I'll mix a little, oh, here we go. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Right, get a little bit of that in there, a little bit of that. So I'm going to get a little bit of that olive green. I'm going to say it like that, green. I'm going to grab a little bit of that yellow ochre. Why not? Keep going with that. Get a little bit of that phthalo. I just like saying it, phthalo. I've got a blister on my tongue at the moment, so it makes it even harder to say. But right now, we have got that in there. Make it look nice and flowing. Oh, lift your feet, will you, woman? Lift your feet, will you, woman? Hey, don't throw things. Right. All right, now I'm going to grab a little bit of that phthalo blue, start to bring that over, turn it straight into the phthalo green because I've mixed that yellow with it, dummy. But anyway, you'll see it will all make sense. Believe me, because I can paint over it. That's a good thing about acrylics. It doesn't really matter. Fair bit of white in there. Now, this is where I make the disclaimer. I'm not really going by the reference. Go with that one there, eh? Right. Yeah. And I will put a little bit of the antique white in there soon. Get that going around there. Right. About to get a bit of that blue. I'm going to have to put a bit of white in there. All right, lighten things down a little bit. And you probably can't even tell I've got the paintbrush in my mouth. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just lighten this down a little bit. And I'm going to grab that yellow ochre. That yellow ochre was far too translucent. So I'm going to go a little bit more opaque. Get that happening down there. And I am going to clean the brush right off. And again, I like to have 2 lots of water. I can't have that over the painting. You can't see what I'm doing. Usually I have a cloth down too. Gee, I'm not really organised today, am I? Right, put my cloth down. Move those over there. Put my cloth down. Right, now I can dry that off, give that a bit of a clean. Right, now do we need to do that because I want to grab a little bit of this yellow ochre, maybe with a little bit of that white, just start to bring that through to here. Hopefully you can see that. A little bit more of that blue. That's better. Bring a little bit of that olive green over. A bit of that there. Take a little bit more of that. A little bit more of that into. No, I want a little bit more of that over there. Starting to go off already. Right, now that's starting to get that blue going through. Get a little bit more of that blue in there. Tell you what, this is going to make that apple pop. And I mean pop. Right, clean that off. Liking that. Now I'm just going to start to bring that. I'm just going to start to bring that ground or table. Where are we? Around about here, you reckon? Alright, we'll go there then. Righto, now go around there. Go around there. Needs a little bit of something. A little bit of something, but probably a little bit of what we'd call raw sienna in there. That's okay. Now we're going to get nice and dark in here. Start to put our warms in. Why not? Now get in here. Put a little bit more of that light. For some reason we've got a nice big heap of white in there. Which I reckon looks awesome. Why not? We'll use it, eh? Right, now I am going to have to just grab a little bit of that raw sienna. Okay, raw sienna, and I'm just going to put a little bit of that naphthalene. Is it? Yeah. Bit of naphthalene red over there. I'll say it without the paintbrush in my mouth. Okay, bit of naphthalene red. Get a little bit of that going over there. And I forgot to put down my raw sienna. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Always get mixed up because not a lot of difference with the two. When you look at the Montmartre raw sienna and yellow ochre, they look a little similar. Now let's see if I can't grab a little bit of that. Just needed a little bit. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Here we go, guys. This is what we wanted, wasn't it? Now, grab a little bit of that. Bring that down through there. So we're going to have a bit of green foliage there. I don't know if I'm going to worry about putting that in or not. And then over here, my apple pie's ready. Now I'm going to get a little bit more of that yellow ochre. Go nice and light in here. Go over that. There. Now, got a little bit of blue there. Love it, absolutely love it. Don't want to get that green happening because, as you know, you probably already know this, but blues and greens just turn everything to green, and yellow. They all just end up green. Now I really want to get a hold of this. That one there. Really want to grab some of that there. Quite right in there. It's almost swirly, isn't it? Get in there. Almost makes you wonder why I even bother lining it out, but that's okay. We'll be able to find it again, those lines. In there, lovely, lovely, lovely. Right, I'm going to grab a little bit more of this antique white. Great colour. If you can't make antique white, just go your titanium and mix the tiniest, and I mean the tiniest little bit of yellow ochre into it, and that will suffice for a nice antique white. Just brings off that white edge and just kind of makes it into a bone colour. Right, let's sort of like that going through there. Grab a little bit of that while we're at it. Nice, nice. Right, really, what we really want here, guys, is that real loose feeling, of, you know, haphazardness. Nice and loose. Doesn't matter where it goes, just as long as it gets on there. A bit more over there, grab a little bit of that. This is where we start to add a little bit of that, bit more of that olive green in here. Get rid of that. I'll just lay that off a little bit with a little bit more of that white. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Now I am going to clean that brush. Pretty happy with that, believe it or not. I know it looks like a mess at the moment, but it will start to take shape if you bear with me. Okay, and then we'll start to... Oh, Ben Heffernan, as they like to say, Hef, you've done it again. Heffa! Righto. My wife often hears me walking around the house going, Heffa! You love yourself. Maybe. But I do like saying it. Oh, I've got a little bit of red in there, but who cares? Doesn't look too bad, actually. Now my screen's gone off. Right. Your wives always bring you back down to earth. Now, that's there and there. Got that. I really want to get it. I love these whites. I'm going to use a bit of titanium in there. Excellent. No, I don't want any blue. Oh, there's a little bit of blue if I do look more closely. Now we're sort of getting there with that background. I am going to add, don't know why I put so much of that raw, that Mars black down. A little bit more of that. here somewhere. Cut you off. Beautiful. And with a little bit of that phthalo. A bit more of that Mars. Get that nice muddy sort of dark feel happening in there. Now we're going to lighten that off and start to gradually bring that out with a little bit of that lighter blue. I'm still playing around with this background before we get into the main subject. That beautiful, delicious looking apple. An apple like that, you can see why the old witch tricked Snow White into eating it. Love my apples. Love my apples. Or even an older story. The old devil tricked that Eve. You'll be right. Don't worry about it. Just one bite. You'll be right. Wait, what could happen? Seriously, what could happen? Crash, bang, boom. It's your fault. Anyway, I'm dribbling on here. Now, what's the worst could happen? Oh, I didn't want to do that, guys. Did not want to bring that blue over there. That's okay. It's the beauty of it. It's not like I'm painting with oils. Don't get me wrong. Love me oils. But acrylics are just so fast and convenient. Non-toxic, no water, no smelly terps or linseed oil. You're not going to stink the joint out. Don't need vents or anything. It's all non-toxic. Water washable. Fantastic. Right, this time I am going to try and stick away. Might just spin that plate around so I come in here. You know what? I hate it when the bristles separate like that. Grab a little bit of that. A little bit of that. And I've just contaminated that side now. Clever, aren't I? Right, we'll get that. Get that going. There's really no rules. Who cares? It's my painting. And I'll do what I want to. It's my painting and I'll paint like I want to. Paint like I want to. You would paint too if this happened to you. Did. Right, now that I've done that, I'm going to have to bring that, because I want to make that contrast sort of in there. Yep, nice. Nice. Alright, we've got that. Put the mark in there somewhere. And now I am going to lighten that a little bit. A little bit of that green in there. Starts to work in about here, doesn't it? Bit of blue in there. I mean, I don't have to do it stroke for stroke, but I am enjoying it. Grab a bit more of that, bring it over. I'm even going to grab just some straight white there. Like I said, I'm trying not to go stroke for stroke, but kind of looks like I am, doesn't it? Play off the edge there, just laying that off a little bit and see how that looks once we start to bring that in, because we don't want to contrast. We still want that contrast between that leaf there and that background, so we can push that subject forward. Right, nice and cool there. Oh, a little bit too much, but I don't mind that colour either. It's looking awesome. Alright, so I've got that, got a little bit of something happening around there. Have to get rid of that because I put too much on. That's okay. It's okay. Alright. Clean that off. I think I'm going to move to that other brush now. This keeps separating on me. It's a naughty brush. Alright, now grab a little bit of this white here, start to bring that through. Really make all that push right through. Grab a little bit of that. raw sienna there. Gonna grab a little bit more of that lighter blue. Tiniest little bit of that red, naphthalene red there. Could be any red though, I'm just using a bit of naphthalene. A bit more white. Alright, so now my tape is starting to lift a little bit off this MDF, but I've got some, this one, this is vermilion, but I've also got some crimson, which I'll probably use, and I found some of this old stuff, I want to use it up, Cool Red by Acrylic, and I'll see if I can get a little bit of that on there as well. Plus there's going to be, in the apple, I'm talking about the apple now, we're going to be looking at a little bit of yellow ochre. I'm going to put a little bit of orange there, a little bit of green, that olive green. So yeah, let's get this show on the road. What have we got here? I've got raw sienna. Yeah, you can see a bit of raw sienna there too. Definitely a bit of orange before I get started and start drying out my paints. You kind of want to have everything on hand because, as you know, acrylics do dry out rather quickly, which is a good side of things and also the bad side of things. Alright, got some orange there. It's only like going to be accented anyhow. Put that up a little bit. Probably only going to be the accents of these sorts of colours. But we'll put a little bit of orange on there and get a little bit of that raw sienna. Got my nice fresh water there. I'm going to put on a little bit of yellow ochre. Right, I'll put a bit of this crimson, this cool red down. So there we go. Because it hasn't been used in so long, I might just, if I can give that a bit of a shake up. Because like I said, it has just been sitting there, getting all over myself. Sitting there for a little bit. Got the sun about to come around and get in the way of everything here. Yeah, that's more of a crimson, that cool red. But anyway, and we'll put the crimson down anyhow. I'll put that alongside and see if that's much of a muchness. Yeah, little lighter than the crimson. Don't know if that picks up on the camera, but I'm going to also put that vermilion now. Vermilion red. Give that a little bit of a mix up in there. Right, we'll get that happening too, which is lovely. Look at that, beautiful. That might even take place of the orange actually. Now, right, let's get this show on the road. I'm going to start off with my 15mm brush. I'm just going to grab a little bit of that orange. I won't grab any of that vermilion yet. As you can see, it just kind of start to get this side. Because I'm right-handed, I like to work from left to right. Can't get any of that olive green on there yet. I'm going to grab some of that olive green at times as well. Yeah, I am recording. Good. So many times I start painting and realise, oh darn, I haven't actually hit record. So I'm going to just bring that down. Start to just move, and because that's where the apple core goes, and the stem. I'm going to actually, in my own mind, whether it's just helps me out or not, but I always like to just kind of curve things back into that section. I'll go a bit of that green. Oh, you know what I haven't got on there as well, guys, is white. I haven't got any white. That's all right, we'll get to that. Now I can start to move into a nice little bit of that red there. Not too much, so I'm going to break that down. Thank goodness we've got that vermilion there. Now I'm going to try and do this in such a way that you guys can still see it. No, probably not. Now, as I said before, I've got the old masking tape ring there before, which kind of looked like, you know, around about the right size. So if you guys don't have access to that, like anything that's round that's within pretty much the same size of that subject that you're either trying to copy or want to get onto the canvas, now, only just loosely going with those sections. Grab a bit of that orange, whack in there. Oh, that's what I need to put on there, wasn't it? A bit of white as well, so I can grab a little bit of white. Now again, I'm going to go with the old antique white because I love it. No one sponsors me, but I'm giving you these tips. So Derivan do a Matisse, Aussie mob, but structure. Matisse is the brand. Really, really good. Structure is pretty good, and they're very, very, very opaque paints unless you've shopped for otherwise. Something a little bit more translucent, but I love the nice buttery consistency of them. Really like Matisse. Right, I'm going to grab that. Just going to give that a little bit of a wash off and see if I can't grab a little bit of that antique white there. Probably not the best brush. I'm probably going to get rid of this in a minute and go more into that a different brush. But keep posted. So good. That way you'll know exactly what I'm using. So no doubt. Sitting there, paintbrush in hand. What you using now? Right. As I say, I like to just kind of trick my mind into thinking that I'm following these contours. Worry about painting that stem in later. Right, and I'm just going to come down here a little bit, bring a little bit of that red in, kind of goes right up to the top there. Now, even though we're using a reference, don't forget this is your apple. You can do it. You can kind of do whatever colours you like. Grab a little bit of that crimson in there, go a little bit darker. Look at that. That's really bringing it out straight away. It really validates your questioning sometimes, you know, oh, is that the right colour? And the minute you put it on, you can tell whether it should have went on or possibly shouldn't have. A bit of pink there. So I'll just lighten it off a little bit more. As it looks like it's picking up the reflection. What's under there? Lovely shiny apple. Right, and you know what I haven't put on is that Mars Black. All right, got the Mars Black in hand. Grab out a little bit of that. Put it over there. Only going to need the tiniest little bit of it. Put it out the way a little. Lid back on nice and tight, otherwise it does dry off on you. All right, now I'm gonna, still not overly sold on these colours yet, but we'll see. Now I'll have to go ambidextrous here and try and see if I can bring this up, just because I don't want my hands in the way of you seeing what's happening here. All right, liking that. Now, like I said, I'll grab a little bit of that Mars Black there, and I'm going to bring it over to that actual crimson. I've managed to pick up a little bit of that vermilion, I should say. Yeah, I don't want that there, but I'll just bring that in through in here, and back down in here, and then I'll grab a little bit of that, a little bit of that white. A little bit more of that dark. Ah, that's the colour we're looking for right there. Nice. Because I am copying, I'm kind of not going with my own flow, if that makes sense. Whereas, you know, if you're doing this without a reference, it's totally out of your, like, let's just say something you're copying yourself, you'd probably approach it a little differently. Just when I say I'm laying something off too, I'll just go find a spot and I'll lay that off a little bit. I might want to get rid of that colour, but I've got a little bit, I've picked up a couple of other colours with that paint, so I'm just going to lay that off a little. I really want to grab just a real bit of that bright red vermilion in there. Lovely, 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 lovely. I'll bring a little bit of that over there, and look at that, we're starting to get some shape. Now, whether I put that little bit of foliage down there, I'm not sure. The other leaf there. A lot of times, these great masters, and I think this is an AI generated one. Hopefully I'm not ripping off anybody's artwork. But I'm not trying to sell it, I'm just trying to do a demo. So I think you're pretty well right in that aspect. As long as you're not trying to make money off someone else's work. Plagiarism, not cool. I'm just going to see if I can get a little bit of that darker vibe happening in there. Curve it around a little bit. I'm just blocking in still at the moment. Now I want a little bit more of that black, Mars Black in there. See, it's a nice bit of, got a little bit of that crimson in there with it. Just giving that nice little accent of that shininess of that beautiful, beautiful apple. Now let's start to grab a little bit of that. Really bring that up in the bottom here. And again, you'll just see I'm just trying to bring that up through. Now I'm going to clean that brush off. I'm going to grab some of that vermilion again. Some of that lovely vermilion there. Bring that around. A bit of that. Bring that up through just to give it that nice bit of shine. And we'll do a little bit of that over here, I reckon. Then I'm just going to bring that through. Bring some more over there. Now I'm just going to lighten that off and grab some of that and try to get rid of that pink if I can. And I'm just going to come through here. Right, clean that off. Now I might just change brushes here for a sec and just go into it, something a little bit more, probably a 10mm, which is probably a centimetre. I'm not sure what that is in inches, but if you do know what that is in inches, why not whack it in the comments. Now I've got that there, I've got some little brushes, got a couple of filberts. You know I love my filberts. Filberts are just a round brush, or a flat brush I should say, but they've got a rounded edges as opposed to your flat brush, which is, you know, just a nice square end. So I'm going to go after all that, grab this little guy here, and my wife's hungry, so I'm going to have to jump off in a sec and have some lunch with her, considering I'm lucky enough to be home for a couple of days in my own beautiful studio. I'm going to get a little bit of that. I'm just still playing around here at the moment with this antique white, but I am going to get some titanium on there in a minute as well. Now I'm going to try and stop looking at the reference so much, because I want to concentrate on getting my own little style happening here. A little bit more of that. I'm going to grab, now I'm just grabbing a little bit of that yellow ochre and mixing that into that antique white. And then I'll probably come over the top of it anyway. Alright, liking that a lot. See, it's a little bit of shadow there, so I'm just going to sort of get that in, so get it through my head. A bit of shadow in there, bring that down there. Alright, now I'm going to grab a little bit more of that Mars Black while it's on there. Grab a little bit of that raw sienna. Get that in there as well. No, it's just going to turn it to mud. We don't want mud. I actually want that colour. So, paint that off. Grab a little bit of that over there. Might be watered down a little too much, but we'll see. Alright. Bring some of those out. And we're getting that nice contour happening there, which is happening. Kind of looks a little skew-iff over here, so I might just bring it out a little bit over there and use a little bit more of that vermilion with a little bit of crimson mixed in, just to lighten it down. Now you don't want it perfect. I'm deliberately not trying to make it perfectly round, because otherwise it's not going to really, it's going to take away from that, you know, that freehand feel. Now I'm not happy with that. I'll show you something. It has pushed out there a little bit, so I'm just going to push that back in. So I just, because I've cleaned the brush off and it is relatively wet, I can just push that back into the subject. So round that back off a bit. A little bit more of that crimson, a little bit of that. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Nice. Now, I want to go directly into that. Oh, see what happens? Somehow I've picked up a little bit of that crimson. As I've brought my brush up. So I'll just bring that around so I can get that side of it. Try that again. See, sometimes you make these happy little mistakes with the painting itself. I'm happy with that. I've got the window open. It's rather blowy outside, so it's probably going to make some clanging and banging noises for a minute. But just wanted to, before I knock off for lunch, or a little lunch break, I'm just going to try and get some of that orange in there, around there. And I noticed just a few more colours there. Let's see if I can bring those through. A little bit more of that vermilion in there. So I wasn't even sure if I was going to use, but I'm definitely using it now. Bring that out. Definitely got some orange in there. As you can see, I'm still trying to follow that contour around there. Well, it's looking more like a tomato than an apple at the moment. It's alright, we'll just bring a little bit of that crimson through again. And I'll put those colours back in. Just want to get that nice sort of red kind of reflection and glow happening. Again, I'm just using that vermilion over there. Loving that. That looks good. Right, I'm going to bring that down there. Yep. Bring that through. Bit of reflection. Some nice white in there. There. Bit of white down there. And a little bit more. That happening through there. Darker again. And just sort of tweaking as you go along. Definitely allowed. Oh, now I'm getting away from that. I want to go a little bit more of that. No, not the crimson. Well, that tricked me. I thought it'd be more crimson than vermilion and the cool red, but actually it's... I might even try a bit of this naphtha. Go into the good stuff. Oh, that's a good colour. Yep, straight away. Even without even put that on the canvas, I can see that. Oh, better clean my brush off. Got that guy there. Now, just gonna... I do have the tendency to overwork things, so I've got to get a wriggle on. Get that in there, move that around there. No, not the pink. Turn it into a pinky one as opposed to my nice naphtha red. Why? It looks good on there. No, might have to go back to the vermilion. All right, because that's not... It looks good on the palette, but it's not translating on the that colour. Oh, that colour's not translating onto the canvas or paper in this case. GSM 180. There we go. That's a bit better. Just had to get a bit stronger, a little more confident in the paint strokes with that naphtha. It's better. grab a little bit of water with that, mix a little bit of water in. Now, might even go in with a little bit of black ladder. Kind of, in the reference, there's no real sort of gap between that and where the apple comes through. But I'm liking that, it's looking good. Don't want it too perfect, like I said, otherwise it defeats the purpose of making it like a little bit of an abstract. Now, like I said, I'm just going to grab a little bit of that titanium white and put it on here somewhere. Bit of titanium white. See how I go with a little bit of that, just to give it that real there's a little bit of titanium here. And like I said, you haven't really seen me go less than a 10mm brush at this stage. So get some really nice highlights happening down there. Got that, got you in there. Right, and you got a little bit of titanium over there in that area. Don't be afraid to really get into it. Now, just going to try and get a little bit more of a sheen happening there. Make it look like it's a really nice, edible, yummy, edible apple. Like I said, if this is AI, the reference possibly is. So it just seems to know where to put everything. No doubt studied thousands and thousands of awesome artists and managed to somehow come up with its own renders. So, but what I'm trying to say here is that you really can just grab hold of your own. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Get a little bit of that, bit more of that in there. Ready for lunch? Have you? Been waiting for ages. Stop it. Did not. Stop your lying. See how wives lie? They lie. Feed me. I must have to stop because I keep grabbing other colours. Can happen. Right, that might be a happy mistake. That going in there anyway, doesn't look too bad. Just gives it a bit of an outline. All right. Hopefully it stays overcast. So anyway, I've got some of this beautiful green. Don't know what the heck it's called, but I'm just going to try a little bit of it because I reckon there's a little bit of that green in there. We are going to get onto that leaf in just a second, but I'm just going to see if I can just throw a little bit more colour, as I can see by the reference, and I do like that reference, so I don't mind trying to stick to it. Kind of make it like it's the reflections anyway. It's amazing all these different colours, how they can actually make an image and make it look pretty cool. So, right, any green on this side? Can't see any. But why not just whack a little bit in there? Can't hurt, hey? What's the worst can happen? Right, now, got that there, Going to put a little bit of that down in there, why not? All right. For some reason I kind of like the sheen on the. I like the sheen on the subject more than I like mine, but tis what it is. Okay, let's get this. Nice little leaf happening here that I really do like. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to paint the little stem, and I'll bring the little branch leaf that obviously has the leaf attached to it. Whether I put that little leaf down there and that foliage is still, I might just do a little bit, but probably not as much as they've got in the reference. But anyway, let's do it. All right, I'm going to go raw umber. I probably should go raw burnt umber for this leaf and stem, as that's a little too dark. I love my raw umber, especially for Australian outback scenes, or any scenes in general, actually, landscapes. But having said that, I'm going to be able to lighten that down with a little bit of that raw sienna. I'm just going to put a little bit of black there, just the tiniest little bit. I love these, so that's what you need, little nozzles. I don't need that much. So obviously Montmart is making these little ones for larger artworks. Nice big wide nozzles, but to be honest, these little studies and things, you only want the most minuscule dabs or dobs of paint on your little, well, in this case I've got a saucer, but on your spatula, on your palette. Now, Benny boy, what are we doing here? That's right, I'm going to do that. So now I'm going to need a little bit of raw sienna. Might go some raw sienna dark, all out the good stuff. So my Italias and things like that. Italias, A2, that's the same brand as this, Mob Italia. And those ones are your good paints, your Matisse, like I said before, and your by Derwent, which is the Structure brand. I don't know, so it's Derwent who do Matisse, and they have the Structure brand. So there must be a few different brands in the Matisse Structure, but I love the Structure as it's a really nice opaque, buttery, thick paint. Now, like I said, that's the raw sienna dark. That's the good gear. So when you're doing commissions and you get to a point where you are able to do, start selling your art at markets and fairs and things like that, you really want to start using once you get a little bit more of these sort of under your belt, you really want to use your better paints, your more expensive paints, as opposed to just your practice paints that you'd have at home for studies and things, because the problem is that, yeah, you just don't know the quality. If they're only the $2 from the thrift shop, you just don't know, really how long they're going to last. Whereas these have got the name, so they've got to be half decent paints to be able to be archival, because they really want to start matching oils. And oils, as you know, look at Rembrandts and Picassos and like some really old, some Vermeers and things. They're still going, and they're oils. So We want our acrylics to be able to last in hundreds, if not thousands of years. So there's my rant on that. Now, I will get stuck into this. I'm going to use, again, some of that olive green, and then I'm going to have a little drink of water. Okay, now I've got that out the way. I'm just going to use, now I've got the white charcoal here. Break out the good old white charcoal pencil, just so I've got a little bit of an idea of where I want this particular stem to branch out to. Might just put a little bit more of a curvature on that. There we go, and then you kind of come off and follow around there. Nice little sort of up section there, and then it kind of looks like it's curling over in that section, and then we'll bring that down. You probably can't even pick this up on the camera, but here's a little bit of perspective I'd like you to have a little look at. Okay, now when you're wondering how big to make an add-on, let's say like this leaf, to your artwork, you really got no idea where you want it to go, just have a look at the painting. I'm not sure if I got the reference up, but here's my reference. So look at the end of that. There's the end of that leaf. So you kind of look that it's virtually in between the gap of the apple and the border of your painting. So it probably goes a little further than that. This is how you can sort of look for perspective and things. You can pretty much get a good idea by eye, but always just try to, let's say, level it off against your painting so that you've got some sort of perspective. And if the subject looks really good, then don't try to fight the perspective, which is, the layout. Because if it looks good, when you copy it or get close to, let's just say you're using it as a reference, it's going to look half decent for you as well. That kind of flicks up there. So you probably can't even make that out on the camera because it's white, but I've got a good idea now of where it should land on my beautiful little apple painting. I'll break out the old, I'm just going to break out my round brush or my detail brush. And this one here is, it's been through the wars. She's got a bit of a crink, bit of a dog leg happening there. But I love this brush. She's lasted the test of time, still got a really nice point. And I think the good thing about it is they're a little bit thicker at the base and they still taper down to a really nice point. So if you've got something that almost like a water brush paint, almost like a water brush paintbrush, if that makes sense. So go for your wider bases and just see that they taper down nice. And that way, when you're trying to do your details, you can go nice and flat and thick, and then you can just lift off a little bit and wisp off. Having said that, let's start making some marks on this particular painting. All right, so I'm just going to plant my hand down. Already not happy. So what I'm going to do now is, because I'm already not happy and I've just done a stroke that I don't really like, I'm just going to rub that out. Got a nice clean brush. I'm just going to rub that out and push it over a little bit. But having said that, there's something else I do want to do. I reckon I need a little bit more light. So I'm just going to bring some more light in around that curvature of the apple so that it makes that stem stand out more. All right, just put a little bit of antique white on while I had it on pause. And so you haven't missed out on anything. And I'll just use a little bit of that yellow ochre as well and see if I can just lighten that background of where I want to put that stem so we can make, there we go again, so we can make that stem pop a little bit more from the background of the apple, or apple stem or core itself. All right, a little bit more paint on there. That's what I really do like these little plastic spatulas. Only about $4 or $5 from the cheap shop. Not even, probably $3 or $4, but I did say $4 or $5. That's pretty close. Now I'm just going to lighten that down and bring that around. Probably the wrong brush because it is the wrong brush. I'm just going to go to my smaller, filbert there. Again, flat brush with the rounded edges. nice. Yeah. Just grab a little bit more of that for a bit of that sheen, and I might bring that sheen right in there. Right, hopefully that will make that nice raw umber stem stand out a little bit better. We will see. We will see, Donkey. We will see. What movie is that from? Not sure myself. Now, okay, let's see if we can get this happening this time. Like I said, I've got that little bit of raw sienna on standby there. Kind of goes right into that area, doesn't it? We don't need to do any thinking at all, really. And then we'll kind of dog legs off that top of that stem, and then it comes out to that line there, which again I will incorporate. Now this doesn't have to be perfect either, so don't feel like you've got to get this absolutely right. In fact, the more wonky and just try to have your original line, I don't know if you can see it, have your line in place, but the more wonky and dilapidated kind of thing you make it will make it look a little more authentic with its nodes and lumps and bumps and other things like that. All right, I'm sort of happy with that, and that kind of stems out there. Like I said, don't feel like you've got to have it absolutely perfect, because it's your painting. Now, just check that I'm recording this. I am. You beauty. Yeah, a couple of times there, I've grabbed the wrong colour, but I don't mind. I want to go a little lighter anyway. Just see if I can incorporate that into this stem in some way. Hopefully you can still hear me. Get my head a bit closer to the canvas. Now I'm standing back here a little bit so I'm not in the way with my big melon of a head. But you guys, if you need to get right in close and over the top of the subject, then do it. Get as close as you need to, so you've got control. Get yourself comfortable. I see these perfect artists standing back, and they're fantastic. They really are. But you wonder how the heck they do it. Like, they're just tickling the canvas with the edge of their brush, and they're getting these amazing details. But I think that just comes down to years and years of practice and confidence. And like I said, my whole aim is to get people that are either just beginning or have been in a corporate job or just working all their life, love their art, but just have never really had the time. Family, job, work, everything's come along, and pretty much you just got to man up and push those things aside, or woman up, whatever it might be, whatever gender you may be. You just have to, do those jobs that life necessitates. There's a big word. Don't even know if it's a real one. Right, now I'm just going to grab a little bit of that pure colour there. Might have my brush a little loaded, but I don't care. No, that's all right. Like I said, we don't need to have this particularly perfect. Just need to give it the illusion that it's branching off here. Now, like I said, I've got a funny feeling this is AI, but maybe not. I just was browsing Pinterest, looking for some subjects to paint, and this one popped up, and I thought, you know what, that might be a really good little tutorial. So apologies if someone this is your actual artwork. I don't know whose it was. Just gonna grab a little bit of white in there, because why not? Make that stand out. Kind of looks like it's got a little bit in there as well. And there we go. Right, now what I might do is start to grab a bit of this green, olive green in this case, start to just bring that in. And I'll do the whole outline in olive green, and then I can tweak those colours and bring them back. I probably don't need to use a detailed brush for this, but hey, I'm lazy and I can't be bothered switching out right now. The kidlets are at school, so my wife is ducked out, so I've got a little time to quickly try and get a little bit more of this painting done. A little too much on there, I don't want that much. Now I'll just lay it off a little bit there, and I'll just sort of let that feather out a little. Looks like it's got a bit of a curved old dry leaf hanging off. And now I'll grab a little bit more detail, whack that up there, see if I can, a little bit of that black. I haven't cleaned the brush yet, as you can see. I'm just gonna see if I can maybe mimic that leaf. Not 100% sure that I like the detail of that leaf, but hey, it's a reference. Looks good. Looks good enough. Grab a little bit of that out there. Another little bit of that in there. I will come in with some lights in a minute. Don't worry, guys. We're just, as you can see, I'm not, like, even if I'm not getting it correct, really that correct with the reference, you just want to follow the reference. I'm going to grab a little bit of that white because it's not going to let me change that color, and nice little bit of transparency there, as if the light's coming through. You've got that stem, which I'll put in last. Kind of a bit of a lumpy, bumpy sort of thing happening there. A little bit more haphazard. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Right, and we're still getting quite a nice look at there. And just bring that up to that point a bit. Bring that over that side a little. Rightio, now we'll go with a little bit more of our darks. And then I'll start to run those little white riblet lines through, vein lines through. I just, as I must have confused myself there because I can't grab the white. All right, we will do that shadow with that stem as well. Okay, what else? I was going to do some of those darks. So I'm going to grab a little bit of that olive green, mix it in with that raw umber, and then we're going to start to just, as if it's folding upwards. A little bit more of that olive green, and just start to bring that over the top there. In a couple of little spots, bring that down. That one over the top here can come down a little bit, make it look a little more leafy. And now I'll just highlight those with a few strokes of this white, in this case antique white. Bring that around. Right, and I did say I was going to do something down here tonight. Didn't I kind of mind that? So grab a little bit of that olive green. I think that bit of green down there just breaks it up a little bit. Grab a little bit more of that olive green with that lighter green that we've got there, almost like a poster paint green. Kind of make that look like we've got a little bit of something happening down here of interest, just to break it up. And I can see why they've sort of done it. As if it's not an AI. Like I said, a bit sus on all these artworks coming out on all these social media platforms now, because when you know, and just like, if it seems a bit sus to you and you've sort of got a little bit of an eye, you're probably right. Probably AI. All right, in there. Grab a little bit of that raw umber now. Just let that dry for a little bit like that. So I might just put a bit more of that green up there. Some of that, see if I can't mix that into that. A little bit of wet on wet there, which just means while you've got a little bit of wet paint, you're going to just throw a little bit more in there into the mix, and you can possibly do a bit of blending. Let's face it, anybody that knows acrylics don't like to be blended that much. Well guys, I reckon we're just about ready to pull the tape off. And just on that leaf and a few things, they don't really have to make sense when you're doing these abstract styles. Like I said earlier, don't get too far away from the reference, but you don't have to just copy it, religiously either. You start to see something looking good, well, just follow that. But also gently. Don't just fly in like a bull at a gate. And just, if you're trying something on your own, just kind of sort of start to tweak it, and as you get more confident with that, the way something looks, then you can definitely, go all in. But for now, let's move these aside, and let's pull the tape off and see how we go. All right, so try to pull it off at a 90 so you don't tear your page, and if you do happen to tear the page, it's just only going to tear it away from the painting, not into the subject, like that. That's what you want. You want it to, if it's going to tear, you want it to tear away from the artwork if you've got it taped. Right, now let's see if I can go from the bottom here. Nice clean edges. Top here. Well, I got away with that, but not ideal. Like I said, always try to tear away from the page. If it's paper you're sketching on, if it's canvas, don't worry too much, because canvas tends to work a little better. Tear that away without. All right, so there you have it, guys. I've pulled the tape off. Got rid of my board. Now, just while I'm at it, I'm just going to say that I've just noticed in the photos as I was doing it for the thumbnail that those kind of stand out a little bit too prominently. So what I'm going to do is just fix that. So I've pulled the tape off, but I haven't. I'm just going to grab a little bit of that Mars Black and just see whether or not I can possibly just dull that down a little bit. So I'm just going to kind of, because they kind of don't really suit it, so I'm just going to bring that colour through. And like I said, dull that down a little bit. And that one there, I'm just going to kind of do away with altogether. And like I said, hopefully you got something out of this. As you can see, it's just on some 180 GSM sketch pad paper. And if you wanted to put this onto a larger canvas, you possibly could. So like I said, hopefully you got something out of this, guys. Remember to like and subscribe and all that stuff that makes the channel grow or helps me out. And have a great day and happy painting. See you in the next one. Catch ya.